Okay, so we're gonna take all of this and put it into a case so that it doesn't look like a bunch of wires and crap. So let's just turn this off and pull things apart, and I'll got the case over here. I'll set it up. Okay, so it's powered down. I'm just gonna disconnect the power supply and move this off, and then we'll put the case up here and get it ready. Here's our case. It's pretty decent. I mean, this is, yeah, I think that's glass. Yeah, it's glass. These are plastic, but this is a fairly inexpensive case. Yeah, it's different glass. Don't remember how much it cost. But, if you don't remember, I got this case because I had a case that it was in, but there was drives, like drive cages that made it too small for the graphics card. So I got this, so I had something to put it in. In modern cases, they make room down here for drive cages, and it hides it. Okay, so first thing I'm gonna do is put the I/O plate in. That's so easy to forget that I like to do that first, so that nothing's worse than getting done and looking at the back where your motherboard is and the plate's not in, and the only way to get the plate in is to pull everything out. So put it in, and that's not a problem. Seems as though, there we go. Tolerances on this are a little tight. Hopefully that's alright. Okay, So I got that in there. Let's put the power supply in. I'm just going to put it in like that. So the power supply comes with its own screws normally. I don't know what I did with those. Let's see if I can find them. I have these screws in this bag, but I don't think they're the power supply screws. Okay, I found the box. Oh, that's the... Oh, here it is. So there's the bag of screws. These are black, so they'll match the case better. I/O plate. Not... I/O plate wasn't sitting flush in here, so now it's in there good. So let's screw in the parts to this. So it's so black, let me get some light on it there. There we go. Okay. So I might be wrong with the installation of this power supply. The screw holes aren't really. There's one there. Yeah, the screw holes aren't really lining up. So I got a couple things. Maybe this is a hint that it's saying the airflow goes up from the bottom and then exhaust through the top. So that would mean the air was blowing up. But this doesn't specifically say that. It says power supply location, open from the right side panel. Put the power supply on the PSU location. And then fix it by screws. And they show the socket on the left, so just this corner doesn't have a screw hole without. Let me try flipping it, see if it lines up there. Here. So it looks like that lines up better, and that's going to be pulling down though. It's going to pull air down, exhaust it that way. I'm just going to go with my Yeah. Just gonna go with the original way it was installed. Maybe I can. Okay, well I was able to catch this one in this corner, so looks like we're good. Okay, so that's in there good. Okay, for the next piece, let's see what we got back here. So this has one SATA cage, but I have two SATA drives. Okay, this will work too because it's got holes here I can screw through and hold the SATA drive. So I'll probably put the SATA drives both here because then they're lined up with each other. So let's put the motherboard in, and then we can figure out how to route the power cables. It has a nice cut through here for the one cable. I'll just have to make sure before I screw down the motherboard that the motherboard doesn't cover this hole. If it does, I'll have to get the cable out through there first before I screw it down. All right. First thing I notice is should be standoffs for the motherboard. So let me. So those are in this kit that came with the case. So let me pull them out of here. Three standoffs. Looking at the board or the case, there is standoffs. There's just the ones up here I'm missing. So let me look at my. Thing's a beast. Okay. So there's probably really hard to see, but there's a hole there, and there. This is an EATX, but this hole is an ATX standard, so it just hangs over. So if I look at the standoff locations, there's room. Oops, I'm looking at this wrong. So, and then I can see that there's one about the middle. So it looks like it was set up for a mini ATX. just need one down here. Just gonna get a wrench, those are pretty tight. That's in there, but the way they have the cables routed, you have to move them because that's for a smaller motherboard. I want the cable to go behind for cable management and then pop out where they need to be routed. So I'm just pushing it back behind there. It's weird that they have them come forward to start with. But inexpensive case, so you get some weird things with those. Another thing that's interesting for this style case is it does have room for a drive, disk drive. I haven't really seen that before. So, yeah, you could fit a disk drive in there, but all right. So let's get the motherboard set in. I've left all the cables from the power supply on. That'll make it easier to route. Alright, so remember I warned about that hole getting covered by the motherboard. It did. So I'm just gonna lift this out. And went in fine. All right. So I'm gonna thread this through that hole. Okay, so here, just making sure there's no tabs. Sometimes they have tabs that will stick into things that you don't want it to, especially here, but there's not really any. So I just want to make sure it's pushed up against that firmly and everything's lined up, because that's the other thing is you might remember to put this in, but then if something gets messed up, then you have to take it all apart again to fix the I/O plate. So let's do that now before I screw everything in. Alright, so I got this cable here plugged into the motherboard down over this side that you can't really see. Try to figure out how to route that. I might be able to route it over the same area that the other one went. Let me see. Yeah, I'm gonna try to route it through that same hole. A little tight because it. It was a little tight because I've already had the cable, one cable going through it, but it looks like I got it. Alright, so what I want to do is route the cable between the I/O and the exhaust fan. Alright, so I got the I/O is gonna go underneath this fan, so I want to sort of put the cable between the fan and the I/O. So let me just slide it in. Okay. Okay. So I got it routed. Okay. So there, we got it routed between the I/O and the fan. Just trying to get this little extra connector tucked away. Okay. So this fan has a Molex connector. Which I don't love. You can see the post I put in right, so that's good. So I think I'll see if you're seeing what I'm talking about there. Yeah, I'm gonna pull out the fan that came with it, and I have those other fans that have fan headers instead of Molex connectors, so then I don't have to run specific power to it, and I can just be powered off the motherboard. This style connector instead of this Molex one. So I got another 4 parts board. This fan down here doesn't spin, which concerns me. I tried to fix it because somebody had modded it, but it hasn't worked since. So before I put this in, I'm gonna take this out and then try to plug in that board to this header and see if that spins. If it does, I'm gonna swap out that chipset cooler for this one, or this one for that one. So let me do that, and then we'll get back to trying to put this in. So let me show you this. So this is the 4 parts board. I figured out why it's not working, and I'm gonna try to fix it, but those capacitors are just destroyed. And then down there's a little damage there, so I don't know what they did. Like if there was something with the heatsink, there's a little damage on that, but it doesn't look like it's caused any issue. But those would definitely be a big issue, and this is power regulation, so that would really mess things up. So I might still try to save this, but I know this board works, so I'm gonna pull this off and put it on that one. There's also this one I bought parts for something else, and there's so if you see here, these RAM slots have this lever that holds them in place. Over on this side, somebody had broken off on a board that I saved these. So I transferred the broken ones from that board. Like this board was supposed to be broken, but I seem to have been able to get it to work. So I transferred the good ones to a known good board. So I'll probably do the same for this one if I'm doing that right now. It's a kind of a pain. You know, needle nose pliers to kind of pinch this and pull that out, and then the same with the other ones, kind of pinch them and push them in. It's a big pain. So let's, what I'm thinking of doing those is there's this fan header here, and somebody had cut that and then hooked it into this other fan header, but the BIOS doesn't know that this is a chipset, so it was running this as if it was a case fan. It was running really fast and loud, and it never slowed down because there's no sensor. You know, this has a sensor where if it gets warm, it tells this header to go faster, but not that, you know, not this header. So this one's just if the case is warm, it'll go faster. So I found on eBay the same connector, and I wired it back up, but doesn't work, so I don't know if I did something wrong. But there might be a problem with this header, and that's why they went to this one. So I'm gonna try to just take this one out, and then take that one, plug it into this, with leaving this intact, and seeing if it just spins up that fan. Then I can tell if it's the header or the fan. And if it does spin up that fan, then I can swap it out. So I think the simplest thing to do, I'll take this off, so then it's mobile to get this cable in, because I don't think it has much slack. So let's do that really quick. Alright, so this has here cooling off some VRMs, there's a heat pipe, this cooling off these VRMs, another heat pipe to here, more power regulators, and then down here to this chipset cooler. So on the back side there's retaining screws, so I have to take off all of these to get it off. It's not too bad, but and then for this I definitely want to keep track of where everything came from. So this has heat, looks like a thermal pads that go on these chips. So I got to try to keep that clean, and I'm gonna set it. Oops, there we go. Touch it. Set it upright. So these have like a spring on them to put tension. I've over tightened these before and broken things, so they don't have to be super tight. The springs provide the tension anyway. So those, and then there's 4 here. This is where the chipset is held on. Okay, on this side there's some thermal pads, so I just kind of rock it back and forth a little bit. So this one's free, this one's free, this one's free. So it's just this one up here, so I'm just going to be a little careful. I feel like... There we go. Alright, so that's off. So this is the chipset. Has like a piece of foil. It has thermal compound, a piece of foil, and thermal compound. So I'll try to keep that intact, and I'll put a little bit of thermal compound back on there. Okay, hopefully you can see that. Yeah, so I plugged in that fan into that board. So I'm hoping if I power it up, that should spin. for what I remember, when you first power it up, it spins for a brief second and then shuts off, and that's normal. Then if I go in the BIOS, I can turn it up and see it spin. But when I turn it on right now, that other one doesn't spin at all. So if I see any movement there, that's a pretty good sign. So I'm gonna just hook up the power and then try turning it on and see if, without a graphics card, and see if that spins at all. And then if it doesn't, then I'll hook up the graphics card and play in the BIOS before I give up. Now we're on. I can see the light there, so let's hit power and see what happens. So let's watch that fan there. Might have seemed like a little hint of a turn. Oh, there it goes. So it's not doing anything in startup, but when I shut it down, it goes for a second. So that's more than that other one did. So I'm gonna see if I can take this out without. I might be able to get this out without pulling the CPU cooler off, but let's try that. Okay, let's document. So if I'm gonna try to fix that other one, and part of what I need to know is what cables go where. So just for the future, looks like it goes black, blue, yellow, red. Yeah. And then the connector goes blue, black, yellow, red. So that's on this back side. Blue, black, yellow, red. And then see how it looks again here. Yeah, it goes black, blue, yellow, red. Okay. So when I take off the other one, let's see if I wired it up wrong. Because the fan was working. It was just connected to a different fan header. Alright, yeah, this is the, since this was a replacement board, I over torqued this one, I believe, and that's why there's only 3, but works okay. So it looks like if I take out the memory, I can get this out in one piece probably. Okay. Maybe we can see something. Alright, so this is the same side. It goes red, black, yellow, green. I think that's what I did wrong. Red, black, yellow, green. I didn't like flip the other one. So this one it goes red, yellow, black, blue. Oh, sorry, that's flipped. So it goes blue, black, yellow, red. But then on the fan where it's soldered, it goes, there's a crossover. Blue is on the far left, but it's the second one in. And black is the second one in, it was the first one. And then yellow and red, so there's like a crossover there. So that must be what I did wrong. So I'll just remember that. Oh no, I don't have my soldering iron, but I can fix that one. And then put it on the board I'm trying to fix that I got for a replacement. So let's put this on. Plug that fan back in. So what I'm gonna do though is take the screws I took out of the other board and use them on this board because I'd rather get one good working board. So I'm also going to transfer these clips from that board to this board. So then, since this one seems to work 100%, that'll make this board 100%. Alright, when I took it off, this center seems to be a good start. Alright, it seems to be holding it pretty good, so I'm going to start putting the center in and then go from there. I'm not going to tighten anything down very much. Just realized I was going to put thermal compound on that. Okay. So I'm going to just put the other heatsink back on the donor board, and then we'll pull out the RAM retainer clips. Yeah, I spent a lot of time trying to find this connector, and I was very discouraged when I soldered it up and it didn't work. But now that I have another board to compare it to, I can see I just need to swap a couple wires, so that's always nice. Okay, so now I'm going to try to get these clips out and transfer it to the other board. Okay, so I'm going to start on the ones that are broken so I don't break these, so I can remember how they clip in. So these, if I remember correctly, you just kind of pinch, they pull out. So it's pretty simple. I just put them in there so that something interesting. So you can kind of see how they're made. They have a little clip here, so if you push it in, it'll come out of the retention there. Where I was squeezing down here, there's all this other plastic in the way, so I have to kind of get the pliers in between. If I remember, or no, I think did it just squeeze here? Let's see. Yeah, this arc. Oh. So I broke off. Broke off this little clip that goes there. Hopefully that's not too big of a deal. Doesn't really do anything anymore, but I like to at least have something. All right, great. All right, so our fan back on. Okay, got the fan on. I'll just put the RAM back in. This is a board does quad channel, so I just make sure I got them in the same color slots. It doesn't really matter if it's the red or the black ones. I'm putting it in the red ones, so it's just a little bit farther away from the heatsink and the fan, so it gives it just a little more airflow. Probably not enough to make any difference, but it makes me feel better. Okay. Alright, so let's get back to installing this in the case. So now I feel a lot better about this board. I feel like it's safer because that heatsink is going to cool that chipset where before it wasn't going to. And then I got these clips in here now. So that other board I'll work on, see if I can get it to work again. And if that happens, I'll just keep an eye out for another 4 parts board, and eventually I'll find one I can't fix. So yeah, I'm gonna put this aside again and put this the power supply. Oops. Put the power supply back into the case, and then put this back into the case. Let me move you around again. So it's also doing something else cheap motherboards do, is the standoffs. So the metal is so thin that there's a much of a screw hole there. So if you tighten too much on the screw going into the standoff will strip the threads and then spin. And I have a couple of those doing that already. So that's how we're looking now. We got that cable routed, and then it plugs in on the motherboard, and then this one and that one goes up and then behind, and then the main power comes through here. So then I'll just need a couple. I can have the power coming through this hole, probably for the GPU, and then the Sata connects there and go behind, and then there'll just be some headers here, and there the USB 3. So yeah, let's do that right now. Okay. So we got power LED plus and minus. Okay. So we got this bundle on there. So yeah, see, this is what's screwing things up is you got these posts here, and then it bumps down, and that's taller than this, and this board sticks over, so then this gets it gets bent a bit, and it shouldn't, and then it means the whole thing's kind of at an angle. Which really stinks. All right. Here's the annoying thing about modular power supplies and this style of case. You have to reach way down in. And that's all riveted in. All right, I'll have to take the power supply out again. Just hook up everything. Since this will be a pain to get into, I'm just going to hook up the other two. So there's this peripheral one and another Sata. Alright, so I looped this cable up, pushed it all the way back, and there's an extra SATA power plug there, and then this is the second and then third and I push the slack in between these drives, which is nice. So that I think does it for back here. I don't know how well. Yeah, there's plenty of room. Let's put the side on. Okay, now we just need to put the graphics card in. I think that's everything. Yeah, I think can also put another, I don't have any screws for the fans. You could also put another fan right there, but the case didn't come with a fan screws and I don't have any, so. So this has okay, so last night I was recording this and I was putting in the graphics card and apparently the battery died. After that I hooked up the wires, sorry about the shake, hooked up the wires to the display header. That I had to look up in the manual because it's hard to see. These boards came with like an extra extension that you'd put those cables on and then plug it into the header, but I don't have that for this one. I powered it up last night and not knowing that the video had stopped and everything worked, and then it shut down and this fan here would spin and then stop and it just wouldn't post. I couldn't figure out what it was and I was pretty discouraged. I thought I had to pull everything out. So I went to bed, got up this morning, and I was thinking in the morning, with that hump and the warping, maybe it's shorting onto here. So I put a piece of paper behind it to stop it from shorting to the case, and now it powers on. So I'm sorry you guys missed that. So I'm gonna power it on again. Let's do that right there. There it is. So you can see too that the fan on there just by default doesn't spin. So there's the post beep, and there we are. So it posted. So I'm gonna try to go into the BIOS if it'll let me. Okay. All right. I can't remember which one it is. These, I mean, all look like they're on. Just switch these to turbo and see what happens. Turbo. Oh, here we go. Maybe this is it, the PCH fan. Nothing yet, so let me try saving the settings. So changes are set. It is. I it does. So there you go. So that fan works now. So that makes me feel a lot better. So I'm gonna reset that so that's not always running, but it'll spin up when it gets hot, which before it wasn't. So that would be not good. So yeah, let me, I'm gonna stop it here and then I'm gonna put the cover on and we'll do like a flyover. Okay, so thought you guys might want to see, or at least for me, I'm curious to see if it actually works in auto. So I have it set to auto in the profile, and I'm gonna run a benchmark. I'm gonna run the 3D Mark times by extreme benchmark. We'll see if that warms it up. So I completed, didn't turn on at all. It's not even really that warm to the touch. It is a little warm. So let's take a look. Here's our results. 605. Let's see, the CPU is 2,307. And the graphic is 8,488. So let's try overclocking. This has a utility that I installed. This what's it called? AI Suite 2. It's a CPU level up. All right, so it's recommending 4.5 gigahertz. The turbo's right now at 4. You can see it's adjusting the frequency on the fly. So let's just click that and we'll take the recommendation. Oh, sorry. Click this. Reboot. The fan's just revved up. Let's see if my... So that one kicked in, so it's definitely working. So it does, when you do this, it does a few tests to check the stability. So it takes a little while for it to post. That's totally normal. Alright, it says it's successful. And it's upped it to 32%. So let's see what our CPU score is going to be now. We're getting a warning. Let's see. So we got like a chassis fan, 20 RPMs. I don't know what that's talking about. There's a fan there. So let's see, the chipset fans going like crazy now. I don't know what that tells us. I don't know if it changed the configuration to get to that speed. All right, let's I'm not gonna leave it like this because it'll use up a lot of power, so let's just run the benchmark again. All right, so there we have the new scores. We have 8,474 and 2,633. I don't know what that means exactly. That's for the actual total overall score, it says it's great. Saying in Battlefield 5 1440p we'd get 160 plus frames per second. So yeah, that's how it looks now. I'm gonna drop it back to normal. Wouldn't mind actually underclocking it, but this will work. Okay, so here's the computer all set up. I've taken the glass off the case for the airflow, so that'd be kind of the first thing I'd be concerned about. Is the only air intake is right here and here, and then on the bottom it is lifted up a little so air can get up and in, but that's not going to be much airflow for how warm this could get. So I took the glass off. Another issue was, but I can't see it very well, but these stick out past where the glass would sit. So if I loosely screw it on, it can go on, but it worries me like if that'll hurt something, like it's putting more pressure on the CPU because it's pushing this in, and these are putting pressure on the glass, which might cause an issue. Yeah, like it allows you to put a drive in here, but it wouldn't fit with this. You have to have like a smaller motherboard or something. Other than that, I mean, it looks the part, and it's definitely better than nothing. It's better than the cardboard box I had. The cable routing's not great, but again, it was pretty much the cheapest option. I've had other DIY PC cases and they were pretty good. This one's okay, but not anything special. It's not like, I wouldn't say it was like a deal for the money because it's not doing anything particularly great. Probably more designed for mini ATX, I would guess. And the board shorting out is definitely concerning. But other than that, it's a case. So yeah, let's just play a little Doom Eternal just to show that it can play modern stuff, even though it's pretty old CPU. Brand new graphics card, but old CPU. Yeah, always something. While that's installing, I hooked up a fan because I was getting that warning about the fan. Oops. Now it's loading up Doom. So, there's no sound, so I'm using this little sound bar for the sound. It uses Bluetooth, so let me just get everything signed in. Let's try some ray tracing. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna just log out really quick. Get the sound. It's not fun playing without sound. Alright, so if I go to tools, there's a fan expert. So these look better. It's still showing 0 RPM. We just move. So I got this one connected here. Bit me. And then I saw this header down here is labeled CHA2. So, oh, this is hard. Alright, so that's spinning, and you can see it's happy now. It's got a fan to monitor. It's funny that it doesn't care about this one, it just wants that one, so at least it's not hooked up. Alright, I go to Bluetooth, do add Bluetooth device. It sees it there, so what's happening? Let's just try to connect. There we go. All right, so it's connected now. Boot up Doom. The hand looks funny in the shadow. It's like a cartoon. All right, yeah. We'll have to put it up really low res. This monitor's 1440p. But yeah, what is it doing? Look at that, it's super low res. I don't know what it's doing. Alright. And there's no sound. What is happening? 640 by 40. It's funny that it can even run in that. Oh, it locked up. Shit. Huh. Try it again. It'll sync with your files of Doom Eternal. Let's try it again. It looks like it switched to 640 by 480 again. Oh. So you got the sound there, but huh. Alright, that might be too much for it. So yeah, that's not a good sign. What it makes me wonder is if I should put more. There's that one power that I didn't hook up. I think I'll hook that up. Another thing is maybe the power supply can't handle that initial pull for power from the GPU, and it crashes. I'm not sure. But yeah, let's. I'll film more if I come up with anything else. I think this has gone on long enough. So see you on the next one.